Hey guys, welcome back to Twin Flicks, where we always celebrate the magic of movies and most importantly, physical media with you guys. Now, real quick announcement here. With all the interviews that we've done and still doing with filmmakers, it just didn't quite make much sense to put those interviews here on a channel that's primarily focused on its physical media. And it also really confused the algorithm of this channel. It didn't know where to put the video or the channel, and it kind of got lost. So I launched a new channel. I call it the sister channel of Twin Flicks, called Twin Flicks Interviews. I'm going to start rolling out our previous interviews, and all our new interviews are going to be directly on that channel. And so all the interviews eventually will be on that channel and not this channel. And the link will be down below in the description. All right, enough of that. Let's get into the video that we're going to talk about today. But first, another quick announcement is I am going to be doing some new 4K versus Blu-ray comparisons I have coming up. One is with Death Wish 2, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Tenebrae, and a new one from Vinegar Syndrome, Roadhouse, and comparing it to the 2016 Blu-ray. So those are coming up, but today we are talking about the 1974 classic, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. And this has already had two pretty decent, nice looking Blu-ray releases. In 2011 from MGM, and again in 2020 from a new 4K scan from the original 35mm negative, but it was only released on 1080p Blu-ray. That was also prepared by MGM, but released by the same people, Kino Lorber. Which I forgot back in the theater room, so I don't have it with me. And while both the Blu-rays, as I said, looked good, they were fine, they still had issues, notable issues that I'll get into my review of. Now, this 4K UHD is sourced from the same 2020 restoration, but with some corrections and really some notable improvements. So let's jump in and take a ride on Pelham 1, 2, 3 and see the improvements of this 4K UHD versus the 2020 previous Blu-ray. And as usual, I have screenshots so you can compare the differences for yourself. With excellent color reproduction and HDR Dolby Vision grading that really keeps and maintains the colors much more natural and faithful to the source material. And since the film was shot in the 70s, there are a lot of browns and grays, reds and blues and yellows, and the HDR Dolby Vision grading really helps a lot in this department. Maintaining richer primaries, we now have bolder blues, deeper reds, yellows that really pop. A good example is with Walter Matthau's Yellow Tie that now has a much truer yellow. Same with the reds that look more deeper crimson red or a cherry ruby red. The 70s browns and earthy tones are also bolder and look more natural and balanced. Skin tones are much more improved. They're healthier and warmer. Black levels are also much better with solid, deeper, inky blacks, and shadows and shading is deeper and velvety, which is a huge benefit with all the dark shadows throughout the film, given the film is majority set in a subway. The Blu-ray had a more grayer blacks, along with some crushing and shadows skewed more towards a brownish, I want to say, than a black. Whites are also truer and more brilliant white, looking clean and crisp. Now, a huge reference point with this UHD is with the razor-sharp clarity of the image and details, with objects in the foreground and background being more visible, including areas of objects that I honestly never noticed before. We can now see all the grime, grittiness, and graffiti that this world just looks lived in. Facial features, wrinkles, lines to blemishes. You can see fine hairlines, and the 70s mustaches are much more defined now. Also clothing textures. And the whole production design just has a vast and notable improvements, which was a big issue with the Blu-ray, where we just didn't get these details and texturals. Instead, there was some banding with textures, shadows engulfed some of the details. Film grain is handled much better here, that's more faithfully intact to the original source material. This does not have any DNR scrubbing, and the grain is presented and maintains a very nice filmic appearance. And also say goodbye to all that speckling and framing judder seen on the Blu-rays. During the opening credits and through other sequences in the film, they've all been resolved with a clear and very stable image, including the titles and optical transitions. I was very impressed with this almost 50-year-old film that takes place in a dark New York subway. This 4K UHD handles everything superbly. Now, as far as the audio also has a nice upgrade with a new DTS HD lossless 5.1 mix sourced from the original audio elements. And we also get a stereo track. This is a new 5.1 track, and it holds up very well, adding a lot more dimension to the soundstage, especially when we're in the subway tunnels. The echoing in the tight tunnels as voices or gunfire bounce around the walls are very engaging, with active surround channels giving some nice immersion to it. The busy command center and crowds of people are alive and well, with activity giving plenty of atmosphere to the track. The film's score is nice and loud without it ever being overblown. It's very well balanced. Dialogue is clean and clear without any issues, or music or sound effects drowning out any part of the audio. There's also some really nice rumbling in the bass here and there, and heft and weight to gunshots. Alright, so I'm giving Kino Lorber's 4K UHD presentation of The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. I'm giving the video a 4.5 out of a 5, and I'm giving the audio a 5 out of a 5. This is a terrific new 4K of UHD from Kino Lorber, and if you have the 2020 or the 2011 Blu-rays, ditch those. This is well worth the upgrade. But head over to the comments section because I want to hear from you. Let me know when you compare the two differences here between the two formats, the Blu-ray and the 4K, which do you think looks better? Let me know over in the comments. All right, well, I want to thank you so much for spending a few minutes here hanging out with me and talking about this 4K comparison review. As always, keep physical media alive, and I'll see you next time.